Hey, party people. Today I want to start a new series called Designing Without Drawing. And I know most of you, when you first think about designing without drawing, you think about draping. So we are going to talk about draping today. And I know there are a lot of videos on the internet, myself included, that have videos on, taking some muslin and draping it on your dress form so you can create a bodice block with which you can make a pattern, with which you can make other patterns. And that is very standard garment construction. This video is not that. Okay, we're going to discuss how to drape on a dress form that is your design, not a preconceived design. It's one thing to try to take a sketch and put it on a form, but to just design as you're draping, we're going to be doing that in this video. And leave me a comment if you want me to continue this design without drawing series. Okay. First of all, I have this dress form. I haven't really made up my mind about whether I love it, so I'm not going to tell you what brand this is. Okay. But it did come with a stand. I just popped this thing off the stand for video purposes. I really thought that this was going to be the best way to illustrate what I'm doing. And I do have a full-size dress form in my studio that's like regular, beigey muslin color. And this is just for demo purposes. Okay, this is half scale. So every measurement, bust, waist, hip, is half scale. So if you want to take a drape and move it into a pattern, you just double all the numbers. You're going to want some twill tape. First of all, because I normally am on, this beigey muslin colored dress form, typically standard twill tape is black, okay, because most dress forms are this color. And we have two main types of twill tape. This is actual tape, as in it is a sticky tape, and it's skinny and it's black. And then we have this, which is essentially really cheap cotton ribbon with no stretch. Okay. And I have both of these because they're for different purposes. This, without the adhesive, this ribbon, is for pinning onto dress forms. This is better to put on muslin. I don't want this sticky adhesive on my dress form because when I peel it up, it's going to leave sticky stuff on my dress form. And this tape is not that sticky at all. So you can peel it up and adjust it on your muslin, fairly easily, which is the point, okay? For example, like if you wanted to try out some different style lines, like you made a muslin of a dress and you put it on your dress form or your model, and you want to try out a couple of style lines, you could just take a piece of tape and just let's try it, and just tape a style line onto the muslin. But this is for the dress form so that it doesn't leave any adhesive and you can twill tape style lines to it. And I'm going to demo that in a second. But because my demoing dress form is black, okay, I had to get something that showed up on black. And I mean, whether you use this color dress form or not, you can just also use skinny ribbon. This is just skinny satin ribbon that doesn't stretch. This is even skinnier than my twill tape. This is 1/4 inch, and this is 1/8 of an inch. I just got this stuff at the fabric store purposely for this video, and it looks like a skinny shoelace. Like not the round tubular kinds of shoelaces. It looks like a flat shoelace, but just skinnier. You can use any sort of really skinny, flat, non-stretching ribbon type thing for your twill tape. You're going to prep your muslin for draping. Oh, did I forget to iron this? I was doing all this video prep. I think I forgot to iron it. Let's pretend I ironed my muslin. Oh my God. Brain fart. Sorry, y'all. Okay, but you'll get the point. Press, steam, smooth out all the wrinkles, and you see here's my selvage. You want to mark the grain and the cross grain, okay, before you remove your selvage, because you do need to drape your design on the grain because fabric behaves differently based on whether it's draped on the straight, the cross, or the bias. I did this a couple times because I know I am draping on this tiny little baby that I'm not going to need this much muslin for the demo today. So before you cut them apart and lose your selvage, draw your grains a couple times. You are going to pin twill tape on your muslin however you want. And you're like, this is where I get stuck. What am I supposed to do? I take this thing and I'm staring at it. I'm just like drawing blanks. This is why I always have you all start your design projects with some inspiration images, some sort of a direction, so that even if you're not getting into sketching or anything, you have kind of some inspiring images to urge you forward in a particular direction. So here is a Klimt painting that is nice for this demo. It is nowhere near my favorite Klimt painting. If you know me, then you should have guessed by now that my favorite Klimt painting is the one with the chickens. So I want to pull these gold sinewy lines that are crisscrossing across, or not even crisscrossing, they're just kind of waving across the painting, and use them as inspirational, seam lines for what I want to do. So maybe, okay. I got some pins here. Listen, okay. There are a lot of different kinds of pins. Let me talk about pins for a second, okay. These really long, really thick pins with the yellow heads are quilting pins. And I often use them like in my pattern making class on Patreon because they're so highly visible. And if I want something to be very highly visible on camera for students, this is what I use. These very slender, red-headed ones are glass bead pins, and they're really good for silk because they're very skinny, and the glass beads are good to steam, and you're not gonna melt these glass heads. And these pins with the teeny tiny little almost non-existent pin heads are the best ones when you really need the pin to disappear. Okay, and that is what I use for initially putting the twill tape onto the dress form, because I don't want the heads of these pins to get in the way. And these are short. There's some that are really long, and you just want to be able to slide it in and make it disappear into your dress form. Okay, and that's what those skinny, teeny tiny pinhead things are for. I mean, they're really the most versatile, so if you can only afford to get one kind of pin, get this one. I mean, hardly anyone needs it to be visible from space like I do on video. This is going to be fun because it's a little bit awkward because I'm like draping at a weird angle so that the video can capture what I'm doing. But like, have a little fun, being a little free flow, it doesn't have... You're looking at it for inspiration. You're not trying to copy each individual line. You're trying to capture the feeling. But you're also trying to work with the contours of the body so that you're not fighting it. Because later on, if you fight too much with the lines, you're going to fight too much getting fabric over it, and when you don't know how to work with the contours of your body, you just get designers who all they ever do is very stretchy knits. I kind of want this to go up. When you're draping, always think of the body on the round. Okay, I'm just kind of doing the front because it's demo purposes, but when you're draping and the dress form is in front of you like this, twirl it around. If you're doing this kind of like sinewy draping situation, you should be thinking about how the seams wrap around the entire body. Okay, no coffin garments. Coffin garments, it's not a zoism, it's an industry term for anything where the design is right here, just right here. What you would see if a person was laying in a coffin. Not the sides, not the back, not even down here so much, but just right here. So have fun, wrap the seams around the form. So take your time and have fun, and rotate the dress form, make sure every angle looks really interesting and fun and beautiful and giving the effect that you want. And then we pull out our muslin, okay? And we're going to drape these pieces one at a time. So what you want to do is take your muslin, and remember, you've marked your grain, and the grain is going to go along your center back or your center front. And then we're only doing this piece up here, so let's see. But you know, each piece still has the grain. And I always put the arrow on the straight grain. Some people differentiate by just using different colors for cross grain and straight grain. The reason why this dress form has white stitching is to kind of mark where center front and princess and everything is, because otherwise, how could you tell anything? Just enough to clear the top, and we're going to anchor the top, 2 pins, make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Don't try to plaster, and you want to get, I mean, it's one thing if you want a boxy, but let's say we're doing something fitted today. You want it to fit, but you don't want to start stretching and pulling the muslin so that you're getting an inaccurate pattern when you transfer the muslin to paper, okay? You want to keep the muslin as flat and, as is, no pulling, okay? Just smoothing. Okay, we're lining up the center front here. And we're seeing, and you can feel for the twill tape, okay? Which is another reason to use ribbon as opposed to tape, because this is so flat, it's harder to feel under. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna mark that. I'm gonna mark that. And then where am I? Where is my, aha, down here. This flat skinny ribbon is harder to grope around for. So this is the bottom at center front of where my ribbon is. And at this point, you can slash up to this point, like a little bit of ways, because there's so much fabric. I'm having this issue of how do I fit this? Do I need to add a dart here? But I don't, because my seam is gonna be here. So I'm gonna cut along center front, and I'm gonna go, a centimeter, half an inch or so away, whatever you think the seam allowance is gonna be. I already know that this is my line, so I'm gonna cut away excess fabric so it's not getting in the way of my fit. Because this fabric needs to come around the bust, I'm gonna need a dart here, and because I have this extra, you can just figure out where you want the dart, where you want it to be so that it looks the most beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna get a little bit closer, but not too close, because I don't want to cut away any of my dart options. And I kind of want it to be real discreet and kind of follow these horizontal flow of my original inspiration. So I don't want anything going up and down, interrupting this action. So I'm gonna do a side dart, and I'm gonna, I'm gonna pin this dart, which is another good thing for these tiny head pins, because then it doesn't get in the way. They're very discreet. So I've pinned this dart, and then the dart underlay lays down like that, and it's following this sort of situation. And now everything is laying really smooth, but I haven't pulled anything to stretch it over the breast, right? And at this point, this is where we take a marker pen, and where is mine? Here we go. And we're gonna trace that shape. Here is my side seam. I'm gonna mark the top of the dart here. And here's my side seam again, and here's the bottom of the dart. Right? And here's where the dart ends. And here is along the fold of the dart. So now I have marked my dart completely. And then I'm going to trace the bottom seam. And I just traced this dart just to show you what it's gonna look like when the dart is on the inside. You're not gonna see this so much. So that's the style line, that's the stitch line you're gonna see on the outside. And then how am I going to design the armhole? Okay, we're gonna kind of do this sort of thing. Right, and now I have this shape. And then the next one, you're gonna do the exact same thing. Is you're going to take this, you're gonna line it up to your center front. Okay, make sure it's high enough that it reaches up here, right? And then you're going to pin. And now that you know it's gonna be up there, you can slash into it. Always be super careful about slashing too much into your fabric, but just be gentle and just get in there. You can start at this point, start pinning your seam together. It's a little bit awkward for me because I'm so used to the contours of a regular dress form that these miniature contours are a little bit awkward, but now, and you know, you can start clipping a little bit at a time to release the fabric. I am running out of pins, which is absurd because I have so many pins in my studio. Okay, but now you're like, do you see how it's coming together? And then you're going to finish pinning this seam, and then you're going to lay out where the darts need to be. Here we have the seam is like up to there, so we can kind of release that, and how we're gently laying down and not pulling. We're putting this seam together, and any sort of gaping, we're going to play around with excess fabric and see what kind of darting we want. Something like this, I would put in some kind of French darts, again, to play with that diagonal flow. Again, using the inspiration to get me started. But now I'm just really working with the contours of the body to get the general vibe, the flow, the mood of this sinewy action, but applying it to the body, working with the contours of the body to get the shaping that I want. Okay? Designing without drawing, designing as you're draping, working with the body. Drop me a comment if you want more exploratory draping exercises, if you want to see more videos on how to design without drawing, or any other video requests. Drop me your questions, give this video a thumbs up if you learned something new today, share, subscribe, all the ways you show me love, and I will see you in the next video.